Hi guys, I'm Nymfria and welcome back to another Watchlist episode. Gameweek 23 is coming thick and fast. To help get our heads around it and who we should be adding to our watchlist this week, I'm joined as always by my co-host and good friend Kylie. How are you doing, Kylie?
I'm good. Hi, Nim. Hi, everyone watching from home. Glad to be doing this and focusing forward. I think, like many, I know Nim and I, we're not Bruno owners or captainers. Some of you might be and might be very happy about last week, but plenty of us aren't and kind of want to just steam forward and forget it ever happened.
Absolutely, look ahead, definitely. It's often hard to look ahead though, but we must do it, and it's good for us, at least Kylie. So with this in mind, what will we be attempting to cover today?
So it's pretty much back to regular business this game week for game week 23. And I think the key thing to take note of is that there's still some potential for doubles to drop in, namely, we're talking about Villa here. That has been the word that could happen. I think the thing to be conscious of, or that's going to be quite interesting, is that we've never seen in fantasy football that they move a deadline forward to accommodate a double game week. So that would be game week 24 if doubles dropped in. But also, we're very close to the deadline now, so there's not a lot of time for it to just sort of drop into game week 23. So I think we could see something interesting happen there. And obviously the Premier League only have limited weeks in which to drop the abundance of additional fixtures that there are. So I think, as usual, we would say it's really important that you keep on top of any news that comes out following this. We're recording as at Thursday morning, so giving you all the news that we know of now, but lots can change right up to the deadline.
All right, let's delve in. And the first name making it onto our watch list is the newcomer to Aston Villa, Philippe Coutinho. He's a watchlist player because he only just got his first 22 minutes under his belt at Villa, but he impressed in that bench appearance. He got a goal and missed out on being awarded an assist. To say he helped change that game would be an absolute understatement, with him helping turn around a 2-0 deficit to see Villa pull it back to 2-2 where it finished. With many managers guessing the former Liverpool man would be nearer 8 million when he rejoined the Premier League, we are all a little shocked and pleasantly surprised when he weighed in at 7 million. He's just 5.4% owned at the moment, but he's already the most transferred in player. And if Villa do get that double game week, Kylie, as it's looking potentially likely, although we are running out of time, his ownership will continue to grow. Coutinho had a positive impact on the 4.6 million Ramsey, who we also considered for this spot. They're both looking like cheap watchlist picks for some great fixtures and doubles coming up, right, Kylie?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they both look good at price dependent. Obviously, Ramsey represents extraordinary value and is quite clearly the best option in that sort of 4.5 range for anyone who wants him. Coutinho is a bit of an interesting one. Ordinarily, we wouldn't be getting too excited about someone who's played 22 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It's not normally the case, but obviously we've got a long storied history with Philippe Coutinho, so he's not an unknown quantity. He's obviously got, as we said, limited minutes, so his XG for that 22 minutes was 0.72, and he did score, so that's obviously very impressive, and an XA of 0.01. Not much at all. And obviously, we remember from his time at Liverpool that he's much more of a creative player. So I think you would anticipate that will increase once he starts to get more time under his belt. It's worth looking at his time in Liverpool because obviously that's our benchmark and his history in the Premier League. He scored 33 goals and 23 assists in the Premier League matches during that time, and it was definitely his most effective stint during his career. And I think one of the big draws for everyone is that sort of question of, can he replicate or even improve on his success in the Premier League under his former captain, Steven Gerrard? So it's not like he's coming in sort of not knowing anybody. This is someone that he would have respected while he was at Liverpool, and you would hope he'd be able to get the best out of Coutinho. I think what's interesting is we've seen him arrive as many have before, sort of on these loan deals. Look at Lingard, for instance, when he went to West Ham,
Hmm.
absolutely lit it up. Rodriguez, when he joined Everton initially, was incredible. And then
Yeah.
it all sort of petered out. So
Mm.
this could be one of those cases when you have a big name from Barcelona, Liverpool, etc., arriving at a club that probably wouldn't have anticipated getting a Coutinho otherwise, that the dynamic can shift over time. But whether that happens or not, I think that he's definitely interesting in the short term, and I think we're going to see a significant impact from him. Villa have struggled with creativity, obviously losing Jack Grealish, and the combination of players that they brought in, the chemistry hasn't really clicked for
Yeah.
them.
Mm.
But with Gerard there, things are looking promising. So, I think that he's one that I would be tempted to just jump in and punt on. And obviously,
Yeah.
a lot of people feel the same way because he is the top transferred in player
Hmm.
at the moment. He's very popular. And I think it is that thing, a known name again. They
Yeah.
also have really nice fixtures in the run up to game week 28. So they've got Everton, Leeds, Newcastle, Watford, Brighton, Southampton. So that is a lovely run. As we said, potentially an immediate double game week, but even if it
Mm.
isn't, we know that they've got fixtures that need to be rescheduled. So he's quite exciting. And I think a lot
He
of people,
is.
particularly after the last two double game weeks, probably have the likes of Gray or Trossard, these kind of guys. Yeah. Who they
Both.
don't really want to be keeping. And he's not a significant upgrade on those. So I think it makes him very viable.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, whilst I don't necessarily think he'll be a 90-minute man, in his double whenever he gets it, potentially if he gets it a bit further down the line, he might be. But if he gets it this week or even next game week, I don't think he'll be a 90-minute man in both. But as we have already seen, limited minutes is enough for him to do something. And that's where I'm weighing it up, I suppose.
Yeah, and I think maybe a lesson for us all this season with double game weeks is they're exciting because they almost improve your chances of a single game week if
Agreed.
one of them gets postponed. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just improving the odds of your player playing
Mm.
rather than looking at it as playing twice.
Absolutely. Okay, so our second pick is Cody of Wolves. Wolves' defence has been slipping under the radar, mainly due to them having only single game week fixtures, as we were just saying. But I think the time has come to stop ignoring them at your own peril if you ignore them at the moment. Cody comes in at 4.6 million on the cheaper side of the defensive assets. What is positive for us FPL managers is that Cody not also offers the potential of a clean sheet, of which Wolves have been pretty prolific at this season with 8 under their belt. He also offers some attacking potential with 2 goals to boot. One of those was against Southampton in game week 22, so really recently. Cody is not known for his assists, so expect more chance of a goal on the attacking front, as I'm sure Kylie will delve into much more in just a second. But he's just 10.2% owned, so relatively low owned, meaning if he grabbed you any attack in return, it would be a positive. Kylie, I've been banging on about Wolves' defence in my videos for several weeks now. I think many people are missing a trick on them, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I also think it's somewhat logical as to why that's happened, right? It's been recently quite hard to justify selection, just given the fact that since game week 15 they've played Chelsea, City, Liverpool, United, though United less
Yeah, it's looked tough on paper, but it actually hasn't turned out to be quite so
yeah, and
much
in
for
fact
them.
they did very well there, as we know. So
Mhm.
but on paper, they've been difficult, as you said as well, no doubles. So, in the context of the last few weeks, they've really not been prioritized. But the reality is they have been ticking away. Jose Sarr has been really impressive in goal. So, I think that combination of things and the change in fixtures now makes them a more compelling option. And as you pointed out, look, let's be honest. Connor Cody, not the most glamorous selection, right? I don't think anyone's going to say he is. But in terms of price and minutes, he is great value with Wolves performing, because this is the definition of a 90-minute man, okay? He plays every single minute he is available for. He will not get subbed. He will not miss out. And he's 4.6. So I think on the whole, it's really promising. What's quite interesting with Cody is we can see that their clean sheet potential is there. But in terms of his actual threat, as you pointed out, he doesn't have assist potential. And that's not too surprising when you're talking about someone who's playing as centre back, right?
Yeah.
We don't generally see, except for the odd assist. It's really tends to be the fullbacks who get those returns. Now, his goal threat is particularly interesting. He actually scored his first ever, I believe, Premier League goal last season. He's now scored 2 this season, so he's a slow burner, right? They do have good fixtures. Brentford, Arsenal, Tottenham, Leicester is quite mixed initially, and then they've got West Ham. But then after that, the run is very green, and as proven, they are capable of getting returns in those fixtures. And I think as well because of the fact that their fullbacks haven't really been that consistent. You know, they've not been getting the attacking returns that we expect. You know, Semedo, a constant frustration. Many of us have bought him at different times, and it's just not delivered. So, you know, the fact that he seems to be improving in terms of his threat may help. He's got an XG of 1.27 and an XA of 0.08 this season. Now, what is interesting is that we're obviously at the halfway or a bit over the halfway point of this season now, and his XG is already higher than it was last season, which was 1.07 for the whole season. And more interestingly, in 1920, when he played literally every single minute.
Literally every minute.
38 games, no subs, right? He was
Crazy.
not subbed off at any point. And his XG was 0.0 for that season. So, you know, he's not setting the world on fire, but we can definitely see that this is improving. And I think the key thing with him that's compelling is that he's a certain price that makes it really easy for you to slot into your team. Lots still have the likes of Livramento or maybe other defenders that just aren't that compelling. And he's someone that you can bench in slightly trickier fixtures, or if, say, you've got other players in your team that you prefer to play and you don't really feel that troubled by that decision. So he's a very solid option, I think, that can carry people through the end of the season, really.
Yeah, agreed. I think solid is definitely the word with Cody. You know what you're getting. He's Mr. Dependable. And the fact that Wolves have added clean sheets to their game just makes him, you know, right up there for me at a 4.6 million pick. Yeah, so you just don't get better than that.
And I would say that, you know, while solid doesn't feel exciting this season, solid
That's
feels
all you want.
pretty.
That's all you want.
Let's
some consistency.
That's it.
Okay, our third pick is the hat-trick hero from Gameweek 22, Jack Harrison. It would have been the default setting to go Rafinha here in our watch list, but as we know, he's more of a pick that you guys will likely just get in your team anyway. So that's why we've gone with Harrison for our watch list. Harrison seems to have hit a purple patch as he boasts 4 goals in the past 2 games with nice fixtures and priced at just 5.5 million. He could be a nice differential at just 1.4% ownership. His attacking stats have shot straight up. He was so unlucky not to get more returns in that West Ham matchup, and he looks just as likely to set up a teammate as he does to score any goals. Harrison is full of confidence, and that can only be a good thing for a football player with this in mind. He seems a great watch list player, don't you think, Kylie?
Yeah, I think so. Harrison is one of those players that we've sort of looked on this season and really felt the contrast of his performances versus last year. So last season, 8 goals, 10 assists throughout the course of the season. Now, you know, we have to factor in that obviously he was performing better. Leeds were performing better.
Yeah.
They had a fabulous first season, and performances have dropped this season. We know that, but it's also hugely been influenced by the injury crisis that they have endured consistently throughout this season. So it's really been difficult to get that sort of rhythm together, I think. And now it feels as though they're coming out the back of that, hopefully, because we know that Leeds can be a really exciting side and we know that Harrison is really capable. So I think we're looking at a bit of a resurgence for both Jack, hopefully, and for Leeds as well. As you said, Rafinha will be the popular pick and he doesn't really require much explanation as to why. But Harrison is cheaper and he is a differential. So there's going to be people who look at their teams and think, I actually have room for that 5.5 slot. It's quite a tricky slot at the moment. People with Martinelli, for instance, or Gray as well. Martinelli, he's missing fixtures over the next couple of weeks, and otherwise the fixtures are quite tough. So it's quite thin at that price range. So it might actually suit better to just go take a punt on Harrison. It feels, not too much of a risk. In terms of his attacking stats, as you said, they have improved. So his XG is 2.06 this season and an XA of 1.09. Doesn't sound great, but to give you context, his average XG per match for this season is 0.1. And that's versus his average per match over the last 4 matches. So not last 4 game weeks, as we know, because obviously not everyone has played every game week. So last 4 matches, that's 0.3. So there is an increase there. He's also averaged 2.2 attempts and 1.5 on target over the last 4 versus 1.4 and 0.5 per match over the course of the whole season so far. So we can definitely see an increase there. The fixtures are really nice as well, and this is one of the main reasons why I think people are going to start to look back at Leeds, because they've got Newcastle, Villa, Everton, United in the next 4, and then their extended run up to 33 includes the likes of Norwich, Watford, Southampton, to name a few. So it's a good mix if they can continue to string some form together. Personally, I'm probably still leaning towards Rafinha, but if I do decide that I need that extra million or so, I would happily get in Harrison, because it's really quite difficult to get differentials this season, particularly ones who have had success in the Premier League in previous seasons.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's about time now that we need to start thinking about how we squeeze Salah back into our teams. So that extra million could be really helpful in being able to do that. Okay, it's that time of the episode where we're going to have a quick look at the Fantasy Football Scout watch list ahead of the coming game weeks, which you can find on the first page of their website. It takes into account a player's position, their current form and fixtures. So with that in mind, what's standing out for you on this week's Scout watch list, Kylie?
I don't think there's any big surprises or big movers this week. I mean, I'll be honest, seeing Ronaldo at the top gives me hives after the last week.
Me too.
And I personally, and I think that many will be feeling the same way, will be looking to sell him, particularly if you're interested in investing in the likes of KDB or planning on bringing Salah back, or at least mapping out your route back to Salah. So I think that we're actually going to see a decline in sales for Ronaldo, but it's reflective of the challenges we've had as far as selecting forwards this season, that Ronaldo is seen as the top pick. And it's also interesting to see Shaw on the defender chart. There has obviously been rotation in terms of the defence for United, and they have not been solid despite De Gea's excellent efforts. He has been really impressive, but unfortunately, he can only clean up so much of the mess that's happening. So I probably wouldn't rate Shaw as highly as that, but maybe that's again because of limited options. What do you think?
Yeah, I think no surprise to see Rafinha making it on to the list after us just discussing it, but surprising not to see so many Aston Villa players, no Ramsey or Coutinho a little higher up just yet, but maybe that'll come, in the next game week or 2. I mean, they've only really picked up in the last couple of weeks, so maybe that's why they haven't really made it onto the watch list yet. All right, time for our watch list picks for Game Week 23, and my pick this week is going to be James Ward-Prowse. He's a watch list pick for me because he has some tough fixtures in his next 3, including Man City, Tottenham and Man United. Well, if you can call Man United a tough fixture. However, however, these might look tough on paper, but To me, only City really seems to be the stick in the mud, with both Tottenham, as we say, and United being inconsistent at the back this season. It's Ward-Prowse's form that has me interested, with 4 of those goals, and both of those assists have come in the previous 5 games. One of those goals was against Tottenham, who he refaces again in Gameweek 24. So in terms of a purple patch, he's in it right now. He's a nice priced midfielder at 6.3 million and is currently just 3.4% owned, making him a nice differential. His stats are amongst the highest of the watchlist players we've mentioned today, with an XG of 3.52 and an XA of 2.39. He is a great all-rounder. It feels like Ward-Prowse has one of these spells almost every season, and most seasons I feel like he's overlooked during that spell. With so many double game weeks around this season, it's easy to see why. However, when you take all of this into account, his recent form and stats, he's a great watchlist pick, especially with a Newcastle fixture to be rearranged. Have you thought about Ward-Prowse at all, Kylie?
I haven't. He's a player that I always forget.
Yes.
And I think that's common. You know, you said he's overlooked. He is overlooked. He really pretty consistently delivers season on season, and he is very streaky. So as you said, you know, when he's in a purple patch, he does tend to do well. And he's a really solid option who just ticks away. Unfortunately, we're always so enamored by these sort of glamorous, exciting hits that we overlook the bread and butter. You know, he's a midfield Connor Cody, but you know, with goals instead of clean sheets. He is that kind of a pick. And I think if you had him and you just popped him in your team and just rode with it, you do really well. But
he does great for my draft team.
Exactly. Like he's probably a brilliant pick in draft.
Yeah.
So I wish that I paid more attention to him, because I think that there's constantly opportunities that he could do really well.
Yeah.
And he is someone that we will consistently overlook. And, you know, we'd be better off if we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, 6.3 million is a nice price point as well. You know, you can hop on and hop off of him when he inevitably falls off of this purple patch again. Who's your watch list pick ahead of Game Week 23?
Mine is the elusive Luca Dean, master of the roller coaster FPL experience for his owners. I will never forget, I think it was his first season with Everton, and it was Boxing Day, I believe, and he didn't start. Maybe it wasn't Boxing Day. Anyway, there was definitely a match when he didn't start. He came off the bench and then got a red card, and then, you know, went packing. And then there was another time when I benched him and I think the Boxing Day time was when he got 17 points and he sat on my bench.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, that's as bad as me benching Cancelo earlier on this season.
This is it. So he is capable of getting excellent returns, and he can have a bit of a wobbly moment as well. But we know that he has extraordinary attacking threat. And particularly at the moment when people either haven't got any Chelsea defense or they're still offloading their Chelsea defense, and that third slot feels open. You know, so you've Trent, Cancelo. Who do you get? Luca Dean now at Villa, who are starting to really build something together, looks quite compelling. I mean, he's coming from a struggling Everton side who were looking pretty dire. So I think even though Villa have still been conceding goals, we're starting to see that they're in the top half of the table for defensive metrics. So things like big chances conceded, attempts conceded, you know, they're really starting to improve in that respect. And I think that clean sheets will come. Interestingly, with him, he has no attacking returns this season, none at all, which is not a situation we'd see, because actually he's scored 4 goals and has 22 assists during his time at Everton. So I think that's something that we'll really significantly see change. And I think that he is going to open the floodgates there and start to get some returns. If you actually just look at his heat map for his debut for Villa, I mean, he was camped out in the opposition half and really spending a lot of time around the box, as we know, can take set pieces. There's a lot in his locker that
Yeah.
that can be really good. And for that match, unsurprisingly, he put in the most crosses and he had the third most penalty box touches. So these are all really good metrics for one game. I know it's only one game, but again, he's not a complete newbie to the Premier League. So you sort of know what you're getting, and he's just slid right in. He has an XA of 1.34 for the season and an XG of 0.51. He's obviously not returned on those, as we said. But again, I think that those numbers will start to increase during his time at Villa. And during the Coutinho section, we covered off what their fixtures are like. They're really, really strong, maybe some doubles. So I think anybody who has that third slot available at 5 million, he's a really easy shout.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of people looking potentially now to move on some of their Chelsea defensive assets, especially with some blank game weeks ahead. So, Dina could definitely be one for the watch list for a replacement for one of those. Yeah, he's definitely on my watch list, that's for sure.
Well, he might even be straight into my team, to be honest.
Oh, nice. I love it. Just going straight in there. Straight in there. Maybe. Might all depend on the double, eh?
Yes.
Well, that's it. Best of luck for the up and coming game week. I hope you all smash it. Before you go, here's Kylie with some admin to wrap us up.
So leave us a comment, guys, with the players that you're adding to your watch list. And please, of course, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. You can find links to my content and Nims below. And we're wishing you the very best of luck, and we'll see you next time.